What's up, everybody? I'm back with another video game review, and this is of SpongeBob's Boating Bash. This came out on, well, I played it on the DS, playing on a 3DS with the DS game, because they were backwards compatible. I don't know exactly if it came out to other systems. I would think it would, but I don't know for sure. But I got a lot to say about this game because I beat this game. I did. So I've got a lot to say about it. So let's jump right into it. Like I said about Surf and Skate Road Trip, the controls are horrid. And the main reason is instead of just driving with the four buttons on the right and the D-pad or the circle pad, you drive with the stylus. What? Who in God's name thought that was the right option here? Who thought that, oh, let's have them drive with the stylus. Let's put the steering wheel on the bottom screen and have them have the stylus control how fast it goes, and where you turn have a little bubble to direct you where you're going on the top screen. Like, who the fuck thought that was a good idea? It's unresponsive. It's impossible to see some of the time. And the way the camera faces, half the time you can't even see what's coming in front. 99% of the time you can't see what's coming in front of you. So you have to, when you do multiple laps, you literally have to memorize the course so you know where to turn, because you get like zero reaction time to turn at all. It's just, so you crash into barriers, you crash into other people, you crash into a jellyfish, you hit a rock, you fall off for God knows what reason. It's just awful. Why drive with the stylus? That makes no sense whatsoever. Just use the normal control setup. This game would have been so much better if they had just done it like a normal kart racing game. Or they could still call it Boating Bash. Called SpongeBob's Boating Bash, and you just race boats instead of have this. You're facing behind the car or the vehicle, the boat, and then you're driving with the like this, not like this. That makes no sense. Like I said again about the last game, this game doesn't need a story. The whole story revolves around the fact that SpongeBob still can't get his license, so the sketchy-ass guy comes up to SpongeBob and says, I'll teach you 5 simple steps on how to get your license in 5-class system. When really all he wants to do is collect insurance money from SpongeBob, because he makes SpongeBob think the goal is to wreck as many boats as possible and therefore have to pay for repairs. And so the whole thing, you're just going along. So when you're doing all these tasks, you're racing along courses and just hitting as many boats as you possibly can, doing as much damage, or trying to not die, try to avoid, getting as much damage as you can. Completing laps without dying, like running out of time, and you can bash boats to get more time. All sorts of stuff. And it just doesn't feel like it really needs a story. It's very dragged on. It's not a long game, it just feels long, and it just doesn't need a whole lead up to that, in my opinion. Speaking of those challenges, it's almost impossible to fail a challenge besides the racing one, when you need to supposedly finish first, but what I thought is you really just need to finish last, and then not finish last, and then turns out you do need to finish first. It was really weird, because sometimes it would let you pass the challenge even if you hadn't completed the objective. Like, oh, you were supposed to finish first, finish the second, still passes the challenge. Sometimes you'd be like, oh, well, that's actually the only time it would ever do that. But, it's just, and then sometimes it wouldn't pass you, even if you finished like second. Sometimes it would pass you, sometimes it wouldn't. It's really weird, what it would do there. But the challenges themselves are generic. They're repetitive. The track designs are generic. as well. You race on the same tracks all the same time. There's like 3 different ones. The obstacles aren't really well defined. Sometimes it looks like there's an obstacle and really it's like a treasure chest to give you more money. Sometimes it looks like a treasure, something that's going to help you, and it actually hurts you. And again, the obstacles, you can't see them right away, so sometimes you run into jellyfish or a mud pile or an oil spill or something like that, and you just don't see it coming, and it really screws you over. And I just don't understand. I just don't understand. The amount of damage you take, so like you take damage and you can crash the boat, and then sometimes you can crash other boats. The amount of damage, even though I was playing as the same character and the same boat with no modifications whatsoever, and so were the opponents, they were all the same. Sometimes the amount of damage I would do varied, and sometimes the amount of damage I would take varied. And it really just depended, because you would have where sometimes I would lightly touch like Squidward's boat. I would lightly hit it. It would almost kill Squidward. And then sometimes, then on the contrary, sometimes I would hit him really hard, wouldn't do anything. And same thing could happen to me. It just really did not make any sense. It kind of varied based on the challenge. Sometimes it would be harder when it would, like, you had to wreck 5 other boats. It would be a lot harder to wreck them because they'd have more health. Sometimes they wouldn't. When you weren't supposed to wreck them, it just didn't make any sense to me. And this isn't really a racing game. It's called SpongeBob's Boating Bash, and that really makes sense because it's basically bumper boats meets go-karting, or bumper cars meets go-kart racing. Because, like, you're racing, but it's more like a demolition derby, and it really kind of feels like pinball sometimes. Because the cars, so the boat, the boats are only as fast as you. And that makes no sense to me. You can't, and you're only as fast as them. You can't go any farther past them. So everybody's so grouped together. So when one person brake checks another up front, it causes like this pinball chain reaction. And when you're trying to not take as much damage and you're stuck in the pack because you can't also finish last, it just becomes a pinball, and then you crash and then you lose the race. It's just really unpredictable when that was going to happen. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you are running faster, why can't you just pull ahead of the rest of the group? Why do you have to stay so close together? I don't understand. I just don't understand that at all. Sorry, my nose is very itchy today. Like I said, you can't see what's in front of you most of the time. Why, when you respawn, when you like crash and you respawn, you start like way behind the rest of the field, like farther behind where you crash. But when the enemies die, they start way ahead of where they crashed. And it's not even like if you think an enemy takes a while to respawn or whatnot, or they get stuck somewhere, they just automatically catch up. It's like everybody has to be grouped together. And I get that's for the bashing portion of it. But just make it a demolition derby game. Don't make it a racing game. Don't make it both. Make it either a demolition derby game or a racing game. Don't make it both. That just does not work. It just does not make any sense either. I really don't understand it. Anyways, I beat the game. It's not a hard game at all to complete the challenges or whatnot. It's a very short game. And at least has more of at least the story makes more sense because of the fact that, the whole running gag throughout the entire show has been that SpongeBob can't get his license. So at least they made a game based off of that and just not off of some random ass trip that you have to manually recap. But it's still not a great game. So I wouldn't recommend playing it. I do want to go back. I mean, they do have a lot of different modes to try, like race now options. You can just run races and whatnot. So I'd like to try that at some point, maybe. But I don't know if I'll ever have the motivation to do it, just because the controls are so bad. And they're flawed from the get-go, really. My final score, though, of SpongeBob's Boating Bash, I'm going to have to give it a 5 out of 10. It's at least more playable than Surf and Skate Road Trip, but it does not make it good. So, I got to put it just a little bit higher, but only a little bit, so. Anyways, though, that's going to do it for this game review. If you've ever played SpongeBob's Boating Bash, either on the DS or any other system it came out on, I'd love to know your thoughts about it in the comments section down below. And that's going to do it for this video. Stay tuned for much more amazing content, including more game reviews and other awesome stuff. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.